The emergency beacon screamed through the void of space, cutting through the silence like a knife. Captain Zara Vex of the Galactic Rescue Corps had heard thousands of distress calls in her 15 years of service, but this one was different. The signal came from the Forbidden Sector, a region of space that had been declared off-limits to all galactic civilizations for over 2 centuries. Zara's ship, the Mercy's Wing, drifted at the edge of the sector's boundary. Her crew of 5 watched the scanner displays with growing unease. The signal was strong, urgent, and definitely coming from an unknown vessel deep within the restricted zone. "Captain, regulations are clear," said Lieutenant Corvex, his blue-scaled hands dancing over the communication console. "No one enters the Forbidden Sector. The Council made that law for good reason." Zara stared at the pulsing red dot on her screen. Someone was dying out there. Her oath as a rescue captain was simple: no sentient being left behind, no matter the cost. She had never broken that oath, and she wouldn't start today. "Prep the jump drive," she ordered. "We're going in." The crew exchanged worried glances. The Forbidden Sector was avoided for good reason. 200 years ago, a species called humans had lived there. They were said to be violent, unpredictable, and dangerous to all other galactic civilizations. When their star system went dark during what historians called the Great Silence, the Galactic Council had sealed the entire sector. No one knew what had happened to the humans, and no one wanted to find out. The Mercy's Wing jumped through hyperspace, emerging near a small, rocky planet orbiting a dying star. The distress signal grew stronger as they approached. On the planet's surface, Zara's scanners detected the wreckage of a ship and one life sign. "Life support is failing," reported Dr. Yenna, the ship's medical officer. "Whoever is down there has maybe 6 hours before their air runs out." Zara made her decision quickly. "I'm going down alone. Keep the ship ready for emergency departure." "Captain, that's suicide," protested Commander Rawl, her second-in-command. "We don't know what's down there." "I know someone needs help," Zara replied, checking her environmental suit. "That's enough." The planet's surface was harsh and unforgiving. Jagged rocks stretched across barren plains under the pale light of the dying star. Zara followed her scanner toward the crash site, her boots crunching on the frozen ground. The crashed ship was unlike anything she had seen before. It was sleek but practical, built with technology that seemed both advanced and somehow familiar. Near the wreckage, she found a makeshift shelter constructed from ship parts and salvaged materials. Inside the shelter, a figure lay unconscious on a rough bed made from ship cushions. Zara's breath caught in her throat. The being was humanoid but different from any species she knew. It had pale skin, dark hair, and features that were somehow both alien and strangely beautiful. This had to be a human. The human's breathing was shallow, and Zara's scanner showed dangerous levels of carbon dioxide in the shelter. She had arrived just in time. Working quickly, she connected her portable life support system to the human's breathing mask and checked for injuries. The human was a male, probably in his early 30s by galactic standards. He had several broken ribs, a concussion, and was severely dehydrated. But he was alive, and, with proper medical care, he would recover. As Zara prepared to move him, the human's eyes opened. They were a startling shade of blue, clearer than any ocean she had ever seen. For a moment, they stared at each other in mutual surprise. "Are you real?" the human whispered in a language Zara didn't recognize, but her universal translator converted his words instantly. "I'm real," she replied. "I'm Captain Zara Vex, Galactic Rescue Corps." "What's your name?" "David," he said, trying to sit up and wincing from the pain. "David Chen. I didn't think anyone would come." "We always come," Zara said, helping him to his feet. "Can you walk?" "We need to get you to my ship for medical treatment." David nodded, though Zara could see the effort it took. As they made their way across the rocky terrain, he told her what had happened. He was an explorer, one of the few humans still searching for a new home for their people. His ship had been damaged by an asteroid field, forcing him to crash land on this desolate world. "How many of you are left?" Zara asked, curiosity overcoming her caution. "Not many," David replied sadly. A few million, scattered across hidden colonies and generation ships. When our sun began to die, we had to leave Earth. But the galaxy didn't want us. Every world we tried to settle, we were driven away. Zara felt a pang of sympathy. She had heard stories about humans, but they painted a very different picture. The being walking beside her didn't seem violent or dangerous. He seemed lost and tired, like someone who had been running for too long. Aboard the Mercy's wing, Dr. Yenna worked efficiently to treat David's injuries. The medical bay's healing pods could repair his broken ribs in a few hours, but he would need rest and proper nutrition to fully recover. While David slept in the medical bay, Zara researched everything she could find about humans in the ship's database. What she discovered disturbed her. The official records painted humans as aggressive warmongers who had threatened galactic peace. But the actual evidence was thin, mostly rumors and propaganda from 2 centuries ago. Captain, Lieutenant Corvex approached her cautiously. "I've been monitoring galactic communications. Word is spreading that we entered the Forbidden Sector. The Council is demanding our immediate return for questioning." Zara looked through the medical bay's viewport at David's sleeping form. He looked peaceful, vulnerable. Nothing like the monster the galaxy believed his species to be. "How long until he's recovered enough to travel?" she asked Dr. Yenna. "He'll be mobile in 8 hours, but full recovery will take several days," the doctor replied. "Captain, I've been studying his physiology. Humans are remarkable. Their bodies are incredibly resilient, and their healing factor is impressive. I've never seen anything like it. 8 hours. That would give them time to make it back to Council space before serious questions were asked." Zara could deliver David to the authorities, file her report, and return to normal rescue operations. It would be the safe choice, the legal choice. But something about that plan felt wrong. When David woke up, he found Zara sitting beside his medical bed. The healing pod had done its work, and he felt better than he had in weeks. "Thank you," he said simply. "You saved my life." "It's what we do," Zara replied, but her expression was troubled. "David, I need to ask you something. Are humans really as dangerous as the galaxy believes?" David was quiet for a long moment. "We can be," he admitted. "Humans are capable of great violence when threatened or when protecting those they care about. But we're also capable of great kindness, love, and sacrifice. We're not monsters, Captain Vex. We're just people trying to survive." "The Council wants to question you," Zara said. "They'll want to know about your people, your locations, your capabilities. And then, they'll hunt us down," David said without bitterness. "I understand, Captain. You have your duty." But even as he said the words, Zara could see the resignation in his eyes. This wasn't just about one man. It was about the survival of an entire species that the galaxy had written off as monsters. What if there was another way? Zara asked quietly. David looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean? Your ship is destroyed, but mine isn't. You need medical treatment and supplies. I could take you to one of your hidden colonies instead of turning you over to the Council." "That would be treason," David said. "You'd be risking everything for a stranger." "Maybe," Zara replied. "But it would also be the right thing to do." The conversation was interrupted by an urgent alarm. Commander Rahl's voice echoed through the ship's intercom system. "Captain, to the bridge immediately. We have multiple ships approaching on an intercept course." Zara rushed to the bridge, David close behind despite Dr. Yenna's protests. The main viewscreen showed 5 Council warships dropping out of hyperspace around them. "They're hailing us, Captain," reported Lieutenant Corvex. On screen, Admiral Threx appeared on the viewscreen, his reptilian features cold and imposing. "Captain Vex, you have violated the Forbidden Sector Accords and are harboring a dangerous fugitive. Prepare to be boarded." "Admiral, I rescued a crashed pilot in distress," Zara replied calmly. "Standard rescue protocol." "That pilot is human," Admiral Threx said, his voice filled with disgust. "You will surrender the creature immediately, or you and your crew will be charged with treason. David stepped into view of the communication screen. I'll go with them, Captain. Don't risk your crew for me. Admiral Threx's eyes narrowed as he studied David. So the monsters still live. How many of your kind survive, human? Enough to remember who our friends are, David replied quietly, and who our enemies are. The transmission cut abruptly. Moments later, boarding ships launched from the Council vessels. Zara had seconds to make a decision that would change everything. She could surrender David and return to her normal life, or she could take a stand for what she believed was right. She thought about her oath, no sentient being left behind, no matter the cost. All hands, prepare for emergency jump, she announced over the intercom. We're leaving. Now. The Mercy's wing leaped into hyperspace just as the first boarding shuttle reached their position. Behind them, the Council ships scrambled to follow, but Zara's ship had a significant head start. Where are we going, Captain? Asked Commander Rawl. Zara looked at David, who was staring at her with amazement and something else she couldn't quite identify. David, I need coordinates for one of your colonies. Somewhere safe where you can recover and contact your people. Captain, David said softly, you just threw away your career, your life, everything you've built. Why? Because it was the right thing to do, Zara replied. And because no one should have to face extinction alone. As the Mercy's wing raced through hyperspace toward an uncertain future, neither Zara nor David realized that their meeting would spark something far greater than either could imagine. What had begun as a simple rescue mission was about to become the foundation of an alliance that would reshape the galaxy forever. The coordinates David provided led them to a hidden asteroid colony called Haven's Rest. It was one of dozens of secret human settlements scattered across the outer rim, each one carefully hidden from Council sensors. As they approached the asteroid, Zara was amazed by what she saw. The humans had carved an entire city into the rock, complete with docking bays, hydroponic farms, and living quarters for thousands of people. It was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. Welcome to Haven's Rest, David said as they docked. It's not much, but it's home. The colony's leaders greeted them with a mixture of suspicion and curiosity. It had been decades since anyone from outside had visited their hidden sanctuary. When David explained what had happened, their suspicion turned to amazement. You risked everything for one of us, asked Dr. Sarah Manning, the colony's chief administrator. Why? Because it was right, Zara replied, the same answer she had given David. Dr. Manning studied Zara carefully. She was an older woman with graying hair and intelligent eyes that seemed to see everything. Captain Vex, you and your crew are welcome here as long as you wish to stay. But I think you should know what you've gotten yourself into. Over the next several days, as David recovered fully from his injuries, Zara learned the true history of humanity's exile from galactic civilization. The stories she had been told were lies, distortions created by those who feared human potential. Humans hadn't been driven from the galaxy because they were violent. They had been exiled because they were too compassionate, too willing to help others without expecting anything in return. Several powerful galactic corporations had seen humans as a threat to their control and profits. We made the mistake of helping too many people for free, explained Dr. Manning as she gave Zara a tour of the colony. We shared our technology, our medical knowledge, our agricultural techniques. We asked for nothing in return except friendship. And that threatened the established order, Zara realized. Exactly. When our son began to die, we asked the galactic community for help finding a new home. Instead, they branded us as dangerous and sealed off our entire sector. We've been hiding ever since. As the days passed, Zara found herself drawn into the daily life of the colony. Her crew integrated seamlessly with the humans, sharing knowledge and stories. Lieutenant Corvex worked with human engineers to improve their communication systems. Dr. Yenna collaborated with human doctors to develop new medical techniques. Commander Rawl helped train the colony's defense forces. And Zara spent most of her time with David. What had started as a professional relationship slowly became something deeper. David showed her the colony's archives, filled with the history and culture of Earth. He taught her about human art, music, and literature. In return, she shared stories of her travels across the galaxy, the world she had seen, and the people she had saved. "You know we can't stay here forever," Zara said one evening as they stood in the colony's observation deck, watching ships move through the asteroid field. "I know," David replied. "The Council will find this place eventually. They always do. Then, we need to do something about it." David looked at her with surprise. "What do you mean?" "I mean it's time to stop hiding," Zara said. "It's time to show the galaxy who humans really are." That night, Zara made a decision that would change everything. She activated her ship's long-range communication system and sent a message to every rescue ship, every hospital ship, every civilian vessel in her contact list. The message was simple: the truth about humans. Coordinates attached. Come and see for yourself. Within hours, responses began pouring in from across the galaxy. Some were angry, some were curious, but many were intrigued. Zara had built a reputation over 15 years of service. If she said something was important, people listened. The first ship arrived 3 days later. Captain Morix of the medical vessel Healing Light had worked with Zara before. He was a cautious Valerian who valued truth over politics. "Zara, what in the galaxy are you doing?" he asked as he docked with the colony. "The right thing," she replied. "Come on, let me show you something." Captain Morix spent 2 days at Haven's Rest. He met with the colonists, observed their daily life, and studied their medical facilities. What he found challenged everything he had believed about humans. "They're healers," he told Zara in amazement. "Their medical knowledge is centuries ahead of ours. And they're willing to share it freely." "Now you understand," Zara replied. More ships arrived over the following weeks. Traders, explorers, scientists, and even some military officers came to see the hidden human colony. Each left with a changed perspective on what humans truly represented. But word of the gathering reached the Council. Admiral Threx arrived with a fleet of warships, demanding the immediate surrender of all humans and their collaborators. But he found something he hadn't expected: a defensive fleet of civilian vessels surrounding the asteroid colony. Captain Morix's medical ship floated alongside Valerian trading vessels, Andorian exploration ships, and even a few Klingon freighters. Over 50 ships had come to stand with the humans. "This is Admiral Threx of the Galactic Council," his voice crackled over the communication channels. "You are all in violation of the Forbidden Species Act. Disperse immediately or face the consequences." "This is Captain Zara Vex," she replied from her position at the head of the civilian fleet. "We're not going anywhere, Admiral. These people have a right to exist." "They are dangerous criminals," Admiral Threx declared. "They are healers, teachers, and friends," Captain Morix interjected, his medical ship moving to flank Zara's position. "I've seen their work firsthand. The galaxy needs what they have to offer." For several tense hours, the two fleets faced each other in the asteroid field. The Council ships had superior firepower, but the civilian vessels had numbers and determination. The standoff was broken by an unexpected arrival. A massive vessel dropped out of hyperspace near the asteroid field. It was larger than any ship present, including Admiral Threx's flagship. As it approached, Zara recognized the configuration of a Council diplomatic vessel. "This is Counselor Valen," a new voice announced over the communication channels. "All vessels stand down immediately." Counselor Valen was a highly respected member of the galactic government, known for his wisdom and fairness. His word carried weight even with Admiral Threx. "Counselor," Admiral Threx said carefully, "these civilians are harboring dangerous fugitives." "I'll be the judge of that, Admiral," Counselor Valen replied. "Captain Vex, I request permission to visit this colony and see these humans for myself." Zara exchanged glances with David, who had joined her on the bridge. "Permission granted, Counselor." Counselor Valen's visit to Haven's Rest lasted 3 days. He spoke with colonists, observed their technology, and reviewed their historical records. Most importantly, he witnessed their medical facility save the life of a critically injured Andorian trader. "Remarkable," he said to Zara as they watched human doctors work alongside alien physicians to perform a complex surgery. Their knowledge could revolutionize galactic medicine. They've been trying to share it for 2 centuries, Zara replied. We just haven't been listening. On the final day of his visit, Counselor Valen called for a gathering of all the ships in the asteroid field. His message was broadcast across the galactic communication network. For 200 years, we have lived in fear of a species we labeled as dangerous, he began. Today, I have seen the truth. Humans are not monsters to be feared. They are healers to be welcomed, teachers to be respected, and friends to be cherished. The counselor's words carried across the galaxy like wildfire. Within hours, the galactic news networks were broadcasting the story of the hidden human colonies and their remarkable achievements. Admiral Threx was recalled to answer questions about why the Forbidden Species Act had been enforced so strictly without proper investigation. Several galactic corporations that had profited from keeping humans isolated faced serious inquiries. But, for Zara and David, the most important moment came when Counselor Valen made his final announcement. By the authority granted to me by the Galactic Council, I hereby rescind the Forbidden Species Act regarding humans. They are welcome to rejoin galactic civilization as full members. As cheers erupted throughout the asteroid field and, across the hidden human colonies, Zara found herself standing beside David on the observation deck of Haven's Rest. What happens now? David asked. Now your people can come home, Zara replied. All of them. They can build new colonies, share their knowledge, and take their place in the galactic community. And what about us? David asked quietly. Zara looked at him, this man she had rescued from a desolate world only weeks ago. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something neither of them had expected. I don't know, she said honestly. My ship, my crew, were all wanted for treason by half the galaxy. I'm not sure where we fit in this new world. David smiled, the same gentle expression that had first caught her attention in that makeshift shelter. Maybe we fit together. As the sun set over the asteroid field, casting long shadows across the assembled fleet, Zara realized that her life had changed forever. What had been meant to last one night had become something much more profound. The rescue mission was over, but the real adventure was just beginning. 6 months after the liberation of the human colonies, the galaxy was a very different place. Human settlements began appearing throughout Council space, their inhabitants emerging from 2 centuries of hiding with knowledge and skills that amazed their alien neighbors. Zara stood on the bridge of her new ship, the Unity's Promise, watching the construction of New Geneva Orbital Station through the main viewscreen. The massive structure would serve as humanity's first official embassy to the Galactic Council, a symbol of their return to civilized space. Incoming message from the surface, reported Lieutenant Korvax, who had remained with Zara's crew despite several offers to return to regular council service. Dr. Chen requests your presence at the medical conference. Zara smiled at the formal tone. Even after all these months, David insisted on proper protocols when they were working in official capacity. It was one of the many things she had learned to love about human nature, their ability to maintain professionalism while building deep personal connections. The Unity's Promise was a gift from the Galactic Council, a state-of-the-art rescue vessel equipped with both human and alien technology. It served as a mobile diplomatic platform and emergency response unit, bridging the gap between humanity and the wider galaxy. Zara's crew had grown significantly. Alongside her original team, she now commanded a mixed group of humans and aliens who specialized in first contact protocols and emergency diplomacy. They had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a truly integrated crew working toward common goals. As she prepared to depart for the planet's surface, Commander Rawl approached with a concerned expression. The Andorian officer had adapted well to their new mission, but he still worried about the political implications of their work. Captain, I've received reports from the outer colonies, he said quietly. Not everyone is happy about humanity's return. There are several resistance movements forming. Zara nodded grimly. She had expected this. Change was never easy, especially when it challenged established power structures. What kind of resistance? Mostly economic, Rawl replied. The shipping cartels are losing profits now that humans are sharing their faster-than-light communication technology freely. Some mining corporations are upset about human environmental protection standards. And there are whispers about something called the Purity Alliance. The Purity Alliance was a collection of xenophobic groups that believed the galaxy should remain segregated by species. They viewed humanity's integration as a threat to racial purity and traditional values. So far, they had limited themselves to protests and propaganda, but Zara suspected that wouldn't last forever. "Keep monitoring the situation," she ordered. "And make sure our security teams are ready. I have a feeling things are about to get complicated." The medical conference on New Geneva's surface was a marvel of interspecies cooperation. Human doctors worked alongside alien physicians, sharing knowledge that had been kept separate for centuries. Dr. Sarah Manning, now serving as humanity's chief medical ambassador, led a presentation on human neural research. "The human brain's ability to form new neural pathways throughout life is remarkable," Dr. Manning explained to the mixed audience. "We've developed techniques to help other species enhance their own neural plasticity." Zara watched from the back of the auditorium as David translated complex medical concepts for non-human attendees. He had become one of the foremost experts on interspecies medical cooperation, his natural empathy making him an ideal bridge between different cultures. After the presentation, Zara joined David for lunch at a small cafe overlooking the construction site. The establishment was run by a human-Valerian partnership, serving food that combined flavors from both cultures. "The neural enhancement therapy could help thousands of species," David said excitedly as they ate. "Imagine the possibilities: improved memory, faster learning, enhanced emotional regulation." "It sounds amazing," Zara replied, "but are you sure the galaxy is ready for that level of change?" David's expression grew thoughtful. "Change is never easy, but the alternative is stagnation. Humans learned that lesson the hard way during our exile." Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent communication from the Unity's Promise. Lieutenant Corvex's image appeared on David's portable communicator. "Captain, we're receiving a priority distress signal from the Kepler system. Multiple ships in danger, cause unknown." Zara stood immediately. "We're on our way. Prep the ship for emergency departure." The Kepler system was located in a disputed region of space where three different star nations met. It was a frequent site of conflicts, both political and military. As the Unity's Promise raced through hyperspace toward the emergency, Zara reviewed what they knew about the situation. 7 ships total, reported Dr. Yena from her sensor station. 3 human colony vessels, 2 Andorian trading ships, and 2 Council military escorts. All appear to be under attack. "Attack by whom?" Zara asked. "Unknown," Commander Rawl replied grimly. "The signals are being jammed." When they dropped out of hyperspace near Kepler Prime, the scene that greeted them was chaos. The 7 ships were surrounded by a fleet of unmarked vessels, clearly military in design but flying no recognizable flags. "This is Captain Zara Vex of the Unity's Promise," she broadcast on all frequencies. "Identify yourselves and state your intentions." The response came from a harsh, metallic voice that had been electronically disguised. "Unity's Promise, you are interfering with a lawful enforcement action. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." "Lawful by whose authority?" Zara demanded. "By the authority of species purity and galactic order," the voice replied. "Humans are a contamination that must be cleansed from civilized space." The Purity Alliance had finally shown their true colors. The unmarked ships opened fire on the civilian vessels, their weapons designed to disable rather than destroy. They wanted prisoners, not martyrs. Zara realized this was probably a kidnapping operation designed to force humanity back into hiding. "All stations, battle alert," she ordered. "Move to protect the civilian ships." The Unity's Promise was well armed but outnumbered. However, Zara had advantages her enemies didn't expect. Her crew's combination of human intuition and alien precision made them formidable opponents. "Human vessels, this is Captain Vex," she broadcast to the endangered ships. "Form up behind us and prepare for emergency jump to coordinates I'm transmitting." "Captain," came a familiar voice from one of the human ships, "this is Captain Torres of the New Horizon. We can't abandon the Andorian vessels." "We're not abandoning anyone," Zara replied. David, can you establish a communication link with the Andorian ships? David's fingers flew over his console. I'm linking their translation systems to ours. They should be able to understand our instructions now. Within moments, all 7 civilian ships were coordinating their movements. The Andorian traders, initially suspicious of human assistance, quickly recognized the expertise of Zara's crew. But the Purity Alliance fleet was closing in, and the Unity's promise couldn't protect all the civilian vessels forever. Captain, Lieutenant Korvex reported, I'm detecting additional ships approaching from hyperspace. Zara's heart sank. If the attackers had reinforcements, the situation would become hopeless quickly. But the ships that emerged from hyperspace weren't Purity Alliance vessels. They were Council military ships, led by a vessel Zara recognized Admiral Threx's flagship. Unity's promise, this is Admiral Threx, the familiar voice crackled over the communication system. We received your distress beacon. Are you in need of assistance? For a moment, Zara was speechless. Admiral Threx had been one of humanity's strongest opponents, but here he was offering help. Admiral, we have civilian vessels under attack by Purity Alliance forces, she replied quickly. Understood, Threx responded. All units, engage hostile vessels. Protect the civilians. The battle that followed was swift and decisive. The Purity Alliance ships, faced with superior numbers and caught off guard by Admiral Threx's intervention, quickly retreated into hyperspace. As the immediate danger passed, Zara found herself on a communication channel with Admiral Threx. The reptilian officer's expression was carefully neutral. Captain Vex, I owe you an explanation, he said. My actions during the human crisis were regrettable. I allowed prejudice to cloud my judgment. What changed your mind? Zara asked. My daughter, Admiral Threx replied surprisingly. She developed a rare neural condition that Council medicine couldn't treat. Human doctors at New Geneva saved her life using techniques we'd never seen before. I realized that my hatred was not only wrong, it was dangerous to those I'm sworn to protect. Over the following hours, as rescue operations continued, Zara learned that Admiral Threx's change of heart was part of a larger shift in Council attitudes. More and more officials were recognizing the benefits of human integration, but this was creating a backlash among traditional factions. The Purity Alliance is growing stronger, Admiral Threx warned during a private meeting aboard the Unity's Promise. They have support from some very powerful interests, corporations that profited from human exile, military contractors who benefit from interspecies conflicts, politicians who gain votes by promoting fear. What do you recommend? Zara asked. Continue doing what you're doing, the Admiral replied. Show the galaxy what humans can accomplish when they work with others instead of being forced to work alone. But, be careful. The Alliance won't limit themselves to isolated attacks for much longer. That evening, as the rescued civilian ships prepared to continue their journeys, Zara stood with David on the Unity's Promise observation deck. The stars seemed different now, less welcoming than they had months ago. Are you having second thoughts? David asked, reading her expression with the intuition that had developed between them. No, Zara replied firmly. But I'm realizing that what we started was bigger than either of us imagined. We didn't just rescue you from that planet, we started a revolution. Revolutions are never easy, David said, moving closer to her. But they're necessary when the old system is broken. And what about us? Zara asked, echoing the question David had posed months earlier. Where do we fit in this revolution? David took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. Together, he said simply. Whatever comes next, we face it together. As if summoned by their conversation, Commander Rawl appeared on the observation deck with a concerned expression. Captain, we're receiving a priority message from Council headquarters, he reported. Counselor Valen wants to speak with you immediately. The communication from Counselor Valen was brief but urgent. The Council had received intelligence about a major Purity Alliance operation planned for the near future. The target was New Geneva Station itself. They planned to destroy humanity's embassy and blame the attack on human extremists. We need your team to investigate, Counselor Valen explained. Your ship has the best record for handling sensitive interspecies situations.
What's our timeline? Zara asked.
The attack could come within days, the counselor replied. We're evacuating non-essential personnel from New Geneva, but we can't abandon the station completely without appearing to surrender to terrorist demands. Within hours, the Unity's Promise was racing toward the human embassy station. Zara's crew worked around the clock to analyze intelligence reports and develop countermeasures for the anticipated attack. Dr. Yenna discovered that the Purity Alliance had acquired advanced stealth technology, probably from illegal arms dealers. Their ships would be nearly invisible to standard sensors.
Lieutenant Korvax identified patterns in Alliance communications that suggested they had inside information about New Geneva's security systems. Commander Rawl organized a defense plan that would minimize civilian casualties while maximizing the station's ability to resist attack.
And David worked on something entirely different, a communication strategy to reach moderate members of the Purity Alliance who might be convinced to abandon their extremist agenda.
Many of these people aren't evil, he explained to Zara as they reviewed Alliance membership lists.
They're scared. They've been told that humans will destroy their way of life, take their jobs, contaminate their culture. If we can show them the truth, some might change sides.
And, if they don't? Zara asked.
Then, we fight, David replied grimly.
But, we try diplomacy first. The attack came 3 days after the Unity's Promise arrived at New Geneva.
The Purity Alliance fleet materialized from stealth like ghosts, becoming solid, their weapons already charging for a devastating first strike.
But, Zara's crew was ready.
Dr. Yenna had modified the station's sensors to detect the unique energy signatures of cloaked ships. The Alliance fleet found themselves facing prepared defenses instead of a surprise target. Commander Rawl's tactical plan channeled the attackers into preset killing fields where the station's weapons could do maximum damage. Lieutenant Korvax had prepared a communication virus that would override Alliance encryption and broadcast David's message directly to their crew members. And Zara coordinated the entire defense from the Unity's Promise, her ship serving as a mobile command platform. The battle was fierce but brief. Faced with unexpected resistance and defections among their own ranks as David's message spread, the Purity Alliance fleet retreated after losing nearly half their ships. But the victory came at a cost. New Geneva Station was badly damaged, and several civilian ships had been destroyed before they could escape the battle zone. As rescue operations began, Zara received an unexpected communication from one of the retreating Alliance vessels. "Captain Vax, this is Commander Soren of the Alliance ship Retribution," came a voice she didn't recognize. "I'm requesting permission to surrender." "Permission granted," Zara replied carefully.
"What changed your mind, Commander?"
"Your human friend's message," Soren replied.
"He's right.
We've been fighting shadows while real threats go ignored. The galaxy has bigger problems than species integration."
Commander Soren's surrender was just the beginning.
Over the following days, more Alliance members came forward, bringing intelligence about their organization's structure and plans. Many had joined believing they were protecting their cultures, only to discover they were serving the interests of corrupt corporations and power-hungry politicians. The information they provided allowed Council forces to dismantle much of the Purity Alliance network.
But Zara knew this was only a temporary victory. The fears and prejudices that had driven the Alliance wouldn't disappear overnight.
Standing once again on the observation deck of the Unity's Promise, watching repair crews work on New Geneva Station, Zara reflected on how much had changed since that first night when she had rescued David from a dying world.
"Thinking about the old days?" David asked, joining her at the viewport.
"Thinking about the future," Zara replied.
"This isn't over.
There will be other challenges, other groups that want to tear apart what we're building."
"Probably," David agreed.
"But we're not the same people we were 6 months ago. You're not just a rescue captain anymore, and I'm not just a lost explorer.
We've become something new." "What have we become?" Zara asked.
David smiled, the expression that had first captured her heart in that makeshift shelter.
"Partners. In every sense of the word." As he spoke, Zara realized he was right.
Their relationship had evolved far beyond the professional partnership that had begun with a rescue mission. they had become true partners in work, in life, in the grand adventure of reshaping galactic civilization.
So what's next for the famous Captain Vex and Dr. Chen? David asked playfully.
Next, we keep doing what we're doing, Zara replied.
We rescue people who need rescuing, we build bridges between species, and we show the galaxy that different doesn't mean dangerous. And, personally? David pressed.
Zara looked at him, this remarkable man who had changed her entire world.
Personally, I think we make it official. Official? The partnership, Zara said, taking his hand. I'm asking you to marry me, David Chen.
David's eyes widened in surprise, then, filled with joy. I thought you'd never ask, he said, pulling her close. As they kissed beneath the stars, surrounded by the evidence of their shared accomplishments, Zara marveled at the journey that had brought them here. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become a love story, a political revolution, and the foundation of a new era in galactic history. The Unity's Promise continued its orbit around New Geneva Station, carrying its crew toward whatever challenges awaited them.
But Zara no longer faced those challenges alone.
She had found not just a partner for life, but a kindred spirit who shared her commitment to making the galaxy a better place for everyone. The emergency beacon that had brought them together had long since fallen silent. But the bond it had forged would echo through the stars for generations to come.
2 years after their engagement aboard the Unity's Promise, Zara and David's wedding became one of the most significant events in galactic history.
Representatives from over 200 species attended the ceremony on New Geneva Station, transforming what could have been a simple personal celebration into a symbol of interspecies cooperation and unity.
The wedding took place in the station's central amphitheater, a massive transparent dome that offered a breathtaking view of the stars.
Counselor Valen officiated the ceremony, reading vows in both human languages and galactic standard that emphasized the couple's commitment not just to each other, but to the ideals they represented.
Admiral Frex served as Zara's honor guard, a gesture that symbolized how far relationships between humans and other species had progressed.
Dr. Sarah Manning stood with David as his chosen family, representing the human community that had embraced him as both a healer and a bridge builder. But even as they celebrated, Zara and David knew their real work was just beginning.
The galaxy had changed dramatically since humanity's return to galactic civilization.
Human colonies flourished throughout Council space, their inhabitants contributing innovations in medicine, agriculture, engineering, and dozens of other fields.
The economic benefits of human integration had won over many former skeptics.
However, success had brought new challenges. Captain Vex, came a voice from behind her as she and David mingled with wedding guests in the station's reception hall. She turned to find Captain Morix of the Healing Light, the Valerian medical officer who had been one of the first to support humanity's cause. Just Zara tonight, she replied with a smile.
This is supposed to be a party.
I'm afraid I have news that can't wait, Captain Morix said grimly. We've received reports from the frontier regions.
Something is happening out there that threatens everything we've built.
David joined them, carrying 2 glasses of a sparkling wine that somehow managed to be both alien and familiar. What kind of reports? He asked. Entire star systems going dark, Captain Morix explained.
Not just communications, everything.
Ships, stations, colonies.
Complete silence. Zara felt a chill run down her spine. How many systems?
17 so far, all in the outer rim territories where human colonies are most heavily concentrated, Captain Morix replied.
The Council is calling it the Silent Zone.
Any survivors?
David asked.
None that we've been able to contact, Captain Morix admitted. Scout ships sent to investigate haven't returned.
The celebration continued around them, but Zara's mind was already racing ahead to the implications.
17 star systems represented millions of people, both human and alien. If they were truly lost, it would be the greatest disaster in galactic history.
When do we leave? She asked. Zara, David protested gently, we just got married. Can't someone else handle this?
Who else has our experience with first contact situations and interspecies crisis management?
Zara replied. Besides, this is what we do. We rescue people who need rescuing. David smiled ruefully.
I should have known I was marrying a woman who would want to spend her honeymoon investigating a galactic mystery.
Is that a problem? Zara asked.
Not at all, David replied, kissing her gently.
I wouldn't have it any other way. 3 days later, the Unity's Promise departed New Geneva Station with a full complement of crew and specialists.
Counselor Vallon had provided them with broad authority to investigate the Silent Zone and take whatever action they deemed necessary. The ship's crew had grown again. In addition to Zara's original team and the human specialists who had joined them, they now carried representatives from a dozen different species, each bringing unique skills and perspectives to the mission. Dr. Yenna had been promoted to Chief Science Officer and led a team of researchers studying the phenomenon. Lieutenant Korvex commanded an expanded communications department focused on penetrating whatever was blocking signals from the affected systems. Commander Rawl oversaw security for what was essentially a flying diplomatic mission. And David had taken on a new role as Chief Xenological Specialist, responsible for analyzing any new species or technologies they might encounter. The journey to the edge of the Silent Zone took 2 weeks. As they approached the boundary, the Unity's Promise crew detected the edge of whatever was causing the communication blackouts. It's like a wall, Dr. Yenna reported from her science station. All electromagnetic radiation beyond a certain point simply stops propagating.
Could it be natural? Zara asked.
Highly unlikely, Dr. Yenna replied.
The barrier is too precise, too uniform. This is definitely artificial. Can we penetrate it? David asked. Unknown, Dr. Yenna admitted. But if we cross that boundary, we might not be able to communicate with the outside galaxy either. Zara studied the sensor displays showing the invisible barrier that surrounded 17 star systems. Somewhere beyond that wall, millions of people might be trapped, dying, or already dead. Take us in, she ordered.
The moment the Unity's Promise crossed the barrier, their communications with the outside galaxy ceased entirely. They were now as isolated as the missing colonies. But they were not alone.
Captain, Lieutenant Korvex reported, excitement evident in his voice, I'm detecting signals from within the zone.
Faint, but definitely artificial.
Can you identify the source?
Working on it, Korvex replied, his scaled fingers dancing over his controls.
Captain, these signals aren't coming from any known species.
The mathematical structures are completely unfamiliar.
A new species?
David asked.
Or a very old one, Dr. Yenna suggested ominously.
As they penetrated deeper into the Silent Zone, the Unity's Promise began encountering signs of what had happened to the missing colonies. Asteroid fields that had once been space stations.
Debris fields that showed evidence of massive battles.
And, occasionally, the hulks of ships from a dozen different species floating dead in space. Whatever did this was systematic, Commander Rawl observed as they passed the remains of a human mining colony.
They didn't just attack randomly. They targeted infrastructure, communication networks, anything that could coordinate a defense. But why? Zara wondered. What could they possibly gain from destroying entire star systems?
The answer came when they reached the Kepler system, site of their battle with the Purity Alliance 2 years earlier. Instead of the thriving human colony they expected to find, they discovered something extraordinary. The planets had been transformed. Where once barren worlds had hosted domed cities and terraforming stations, now lush gardens covered entire continents. The atmosphere readings showed perfect breathability for dozens of different species. And, orbiting the transformed worlds were structures unlike anything in galactic civilization. Those aren't ships, Dr. Yenna said in amazement as she studied the massive constructs.
They're habitats. City-sized habitats capable of supporting millions of people. Are you detecting any life signs? Zara asked.
Yes, Dr. Yenna replied, her voice filled with wonder.
Millions of them.
Human, Andorian, Valerian, Klingon, dozens of species, all living in those orbital habitats.
Then, the colonies weren't destroyed, David realized. They were relocated.
Before anyone could respond, the Unity's Promise received a communication request from one of the orbital habitats. The signal was clear and strong, using standard galactic protocols.
Unknown vessel, this is Administrator Chen of New Kepler Station, came a familiar voice.
Please identify yourself and state your intentions.
David's eyes widened. Chen? That's a human name. Could it be? This is Captain Zara Vex of the Unity's Promise, Zara replied to the signal. Administrator Chen, are you related to Dr. David Chen? Zara, came an excited response. This is David's sister, Linda. We've been waiting for someone to find us.
Within hours, the Unity's Promise docked with New Kepler Station, and Zara found herself in the middle of the most remarkable reunion in galactic history. The missing colonists weren't dead, they had been rescued and relocated by a species that called themselves the Gardeners. Linda Chen was older than David, a brilliant engineer who had been helping to establish one of humanity's frontier colonies when the mysterious aliens had arrived. Her story, and those of the other colony leaders, painted a picture of contact with beings beyond anything the galaxy had imagined. They came without warning, Linda explained as she led Zara and David through the habitat's corridors. Massive ships that seemed to bend reality around them. We thought we were under attack, but they never fired a shot.
Then, what happened? Zara asked. They showed us, Linda replied, stopping before a massive viewport that offered a view of the transformed planet below.
They demonstrated what our worlds could become with their help. Planets that could support all life, not just one species at a time. The transformation was indeed remarkable. The planet below teemed with life in ways that natural worlds rarely achieved. Forests of crystal trees grew alongside organic vegetation. Floating islands drifted through atmospheric layers that supported different ecosystems. And, throughout it all, cities that seamlessly blended architecture from dozens of different species.
But, why the communication blackout? David asked. Why isolate these systems from the rest of the galaxy? Because the galaxy isn't ready, came a new voice from behind them. Zara turned to see a being unlike any she had encountered before. It stood nearly 8 feet tall, with a form that seemed to shift slightly as she watched, as if it existed partially in dimensions she couldn't perceive. When it moved, space around it rippled like water. I am Cultivator Prime, the being said, its voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate directly in their minds. I speak for the Gardeners. You are welcome here, Captain Vex, Dr. Chen. Your work bridging species differences has not gone unnoticed. You know about us? Zara asked. We have been watching your galaxy for millennia, Cultivator Prime replied. Most species remain trapped in cycles of conflict and competition. But humans have shown potential for something greater. What kind of potential? David asked. The potential to unite rather than divide, the gardener replied. To heal rather than harm. To grow rather than stagnate. Over the following days, Zara and David learned about the Gardeners and their incredible civilization. They were an ancient species that had transcended physical limitations eons ago, becoming beings of pure thought and energy who could manipulate matter and space at will. But, despite their immense power, they had never lost their commitment to nurturing life and fostering growth. They traveled the galaxy, finding species that showed promise and helping them realize their potential. Your marriage, Cultivator Prime explained during one of their conversations, was observed by many of our kind. Two beings from different worlds, choosing to build something together rather than remain apart. It exemplified what we hope all species might achieve. So you created the Silent Zone to protect these colonies while they transformed? Zara asked. Protection, yes, but also preparation, the gardener replied. These worlds will serve as examples of what galactic civilization could become. Places where all species can thrive together, sharing knowledge and growing beyond their individual limitations. But, the galaxy thinks these colonies were destroyed, David pointed out. People are terrified. They think some great threat is eliminating entire star systems. Fear often precedes understanding, Cultivator Prime acknowledged. But, perhaps it is time to begin revealing the truth. Would you be willing to serve as ambassadors between the transformed colonies and the wider galaxy? Zara looked at David, seeing her own excitement reflected in his eyes. This was bigger than any rescue mission they had ever undertaken.
They were being offered the chance to introduce the galaxy to a completely new way of existing.
What would that involve? David asked.
Returning to the galaxy beyond the barrier, Cultivator Prime replied.
Sharing what you have learned here.
Preparing other species for the choice that awaits them.
What choice? Zara asked.
Whether to remain as they are, trapped in endless cycles of conflict and scarcity, or to accept transformation into something greater. The decision wasn't difficult. Everything Zara and David had worked for since their first meeting had led to this moment. They were being offered the chance to help reshape galactic civilization itself. But they also understood the magnitude of what they were undertaking. Introducing the galaxy to the gardeners and their transformed worlds would change everything. Some species would embrace the opportunity, while others would resist out of fear or a desire to maintain the status quo.
We'll need to go slowly, Zara said.
Start with species that are already receptive to change. Build trust gradually.
And we'll need proof, David added. People will want to see the transformed colonies for themselves. Arrangements can be made, Cultivator Prime assured them. Selected representatives will be invited to witness what has been achieved here.
3 weeks later, the Unity's Promise emerged from the Silent Zone carrying the most important cargo in galactic history, proof that the missing colonies were not only alive but thriving in ways previously unimaginable. The ship's return caused a sensation throughout galactic civilization. The news that 17 star systems had been transformed into paradise worlds spread like wildfire, sparking debates, celebrations, and conflicts across hundreds of species.
Counselor Valen convened an emergency session of the Galactic Council to hear Zara and David's full report.
The chamber was packed with representatives from every major species, all eager to learn the truth about the Silent Zone.
The colonies weren't destroyed, Zara announced to the assembled delegates. They were transformed into something wonderful. The presentation that followed used holographic displays to show the audience exactly what the gardeners had achieved. Planets where multiple species lived in harmony.
Orbital habitats that provided perfect living conditions for any form of life. Technologies that could reshape matter and energy to meet any need.
The reaction was immediate and intense. Some delegates hailed the transformation as the dawn of a new galactic golden age.
Others condemned it as an alien invasion that threatened the natural order. Military leaders worried about the implications of such advanced technology.
Corporate interests feared the economic disruption that unlimited abundance would bring.
The question before us, Counselor Valen declared when the debates had raged for hours, is whether we will accept the gardeners' offer of transformation or reject it out of fear. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than anyone expected. By a narrow margin, the council approved further contact with the gardeners and agreed to allow selected delegations to visit the transformed colonies. But Zara knew the real decision would be made by individual species and worlds, not by the council.
Each civilization would have to choose for itself whether to embrace transformation or remain as they were. Over the months that followed, the Unity's Promise became the galaxy's primary liaison with the transformed colonies.
Zara and David led delegation after delegation through the Silent Zone, showing skeptics and supporters alike what the gardeners could offer. The results were mixed but encouraging. Younger species, particularly those that had suffered from resource scarcity or environmental damage, embraced the opportunity for transformation eagerly. More established civilizations were cautious but intrigued. And humanity, as always, was divided. Some human colonies jumped at the chance to join the transformed worlds. Others insisted on maintaining their independence and developing their own solutions to galactic challenges. It's perfectly human, David observed as they watched another group of delegates touring New Kepler Station.
We can never agree on anything completely.
But that's also our strength, we try everything until we find what works.
And what about us? Zara asked.
What do we choose? David smiled, the same expression that had first captivated her in that makeshift shelter on a dying world.
We choose to keep building bridges.
Between species, between ideas, between what is and what could be. As they stood together on the observation deck of the Unity's Promise, watching ships from dozens of species dock with the transformed colonies, Zara reflected on the incredible journey that had brought them here. What had started as a simple rescue mission had become something neither of them could have imagined. They had helped reintegrate humanity into galactic civilization, fought against those who would divide species through hatred and fear, and now they were helping to introduce the galaxy to possibilities beyond their wildest dreams.
Do you ever wonder what would have happened if I hadn't answered that distress call? Zara asked.
Every day, David replied, taking her hand. But I prefer to think about what we've built together and what we're still going to build.
Such as?
A family, David said softly. Children who will grow up in a galaxy where different doesn't mean dangerous, where cooperation is stronger than competition, and where love can bridge any gap.
Zara squeezed his hand, feeling the truth of his words in her heart.
Their love story had become the foundation for something much larger than themselves. It had sparked a revolution in galactic thinking and opened doorways to unimaginable possibilities.
I love you, Dr. Chen, she said.
I love you too, Captain Vexton, he replied. As the Unity's Promise continued its orbit around the transformed colonies, its crew working to build bridges between the old galaxy and the new, Zara and David began planning for a future that would be shaped by the choices they had made together. The emergency beacon that had brought them together had long since fallen silent. But the hope it had kindled would burn bright among the stars for generations to come, a testament to the power of love to overcome any obstacle and the courage to believe that tomorrow could be better than today. In the end, what was meant to last one night had become a legacy that would echo throughout the galaxy forever.
And it was only the beginning.